how are you guys doing? This should be 2 days later from our update. And hello, we apologize for being late. My sister got married. I've been out of town.
It's Jacqueline's fault.
It's Jacqueline's fault. Well, let's just say it's Trey's fault, her husband, because he's the one. You gotta blame the guy for everything.
Yeah.
Jeff's actually been bugging me and reminding me, like, when are we gonna shoot the episode? When are we gonna shoot the episode? And I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna shoot it. Don't worry. Oh yeah, we'll shoot it. Because I'm like worried about like, okay, we gotta go to the wedding and all this stuff, you know, all this kind of stuff. And we've been talking about what we're gonna talk about for this episode, all this, everything. He keeps, hey, when are we gonna shoot it? Oh yeah, we'll shoot it. I don't know. We'll shoot it later. We'll be fine. Hey, when are we gonna shoot this episode? Oh, we'll shoot it tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I gotta run some errands and we'll come back. Well, never did. So we're finally doing it a day after it was supposed to be released. Oh, you know what? We're changing our release date to Friday, so technically, if we're not late. We're on time. Never mind then. I rescind my apology. All right. Well, let's get started. What are we talking about today, Jeff?
Tron Legacy.
Tron Legacy. Okay. Did you do the homework assignment I asked you to?
Which one was that?
To get on like Wikipedia and research Tron, like the original.
Oh, the original one. Yeah.
Okay, really quick. Like, I mean really quick, because we had a long intro. Kind of, for people who don't know, including myself, I know a little bit, but kind of like, I know the new one's a sequel. Kind of give a really quick summary of like the first movie, like what happened, kind of like a just basic, kind of what happened and how this movie relates to the one, because I know some people are like, why is the movie called Tron? Tron's not even in the movie. You know?
That is kind of pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, technically he is, but not really. His body was kind of, you know, being controlled. So it's like, why is the movie called Tron? You know, so like really quick, just give a quick what the first one was about, and of course that'll make the second one much more clear.
Yeah, the first one, Jeff Bridges invents the internet. Essentially, he creates this thing called the grid, or he discovers it. He gets shot in the back by a laser that zaps him into it, kind of like in Magic School Bus.
Awesome.
He ends up inside this computer, essentially, and inside the circuitry of the computer, and he discovers, oh, there's a whole world in here. It's very similar to the regular, like...
Did he meet Bob? And Dot and Enzo?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Yeah. He hadn't started making cars yet. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so he's inside and he goes, this is a great place. I mean, we can make video games and all this kind of, like, whatever. Well, he figures out his way out, and they're trying to attack him and all these things, and there's viruses, and it's very sci-fi. He gets out eventually and gets blasted by the same laser, reconstructed, and he's like, oh, cool, there's this thing called the grid, and yay, and now it comes forward in time. Jeff Bridges is telling his son...
We're talking about the new movie now?
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the movie that we're actually talking about.
Mm-hmm. Forward in time. He's telling his son bedtime stories about all these cool things he did while he was on the grid, because he figured out ways to be able to travel back and forth between the...
So yeah, he goes like...
grid and reality.
He goes to the office, he's going to the grid. Like basically his job, he goes in every day and goes and like plays inside a computer. Which
essentially
isn't fair.
Don't you wish that was really possible?
No, I gotta say though, I haven't seen the original. I saw parts of it. I think it was 84, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
89.
89. Okay, never mind. But anyways, like the whole idea, like it didn't seem like a place I'd want to go. And again, this is when it was taken over, but it seemed very desolate. I mean, it was visually, it was breathtaking and amazing, but it had this like Darth Vader takes over your computer feel to it. You know what I mean? Like the Empire kind of thing.
The guy even looked like Darth Vader.
Yeah. No, I will say though, and they even had Jar Jar Binks. It's mixed with the dancer from Return of the Jedi. It was that white Zeus. No, I will say though, if you could go in your computer,
Johnny Depp's
true.
Than he did that.
True, that is true. But if you could go inside your computer and it would be Mainframe from Reboot, that I would totally do. I would do that. I would be there every day. I don't think I would want to. I'd go in, you know, obviously I'd want to see the grid and everything, but the way it was, kind of creepy. Yeah, I saw that. Mainframe, on the other hand, man, you could not pull me out of it. I'd be like Enzo, like, Bob, hey Bob, let's go do something, Bob, let's go, you know, like.
Hey, you want I should dig up some bones for you? Anything you say, Spike, because you and me is pals. That's right, ain't it, Spike? Hey, you wanna play ball? Huh? You wanna play ball? Huh, Spike? You wanna? Huh? Huh? Huh, Spike? You wanna? Huh? Nah.
They're like, dude, this guy is so annoying. And then I would be like a little kid in Candy Shop. It'd be amazing. But I'm also a real big reboot fan, so.
That's a great show. It's like very 3D.
I heard
they were gonna make a movie.
No, they were making,
and they started like they relaunched it and they killed it again.
They were making a trilogy. They were gonna make 3 movies. Now they killed it because I didn't hear they kill it. It was ironically, I think the company was Mainframe Entertainment or something because like the rights were. No, I think Mainframe is who owned the rights, and they got bought out by a much bigger film studio company.
Which is typical.
Yeah, and then they announced that they were going to make 3 reboot movies, and I think I don't know, they were making them as like actual movies, which could you imagine like seeing Bob in like HD, like full on like island style?
Would they do live action?
I don't.
Or would they do CGI?
They would have to do
CGI.
CGI.
Do a mix?
They'd have to do
because
CGI.
I have to say these mix films where it's half CGI, like
Avatar?
Garfield and Smurfs.
Avatar.
No, that one was good, but
still what you're talking about.
Yeah, but or what else? Like Alvin and the Chipmunks, they usually end up being really bad.
Yeah,
awful, garbage films that you have to see because of the nostalgia, but you hate yourself and want to kill yourself. Afterwards.
All the ones you just said, there's nothing to do with the CG. It's like they're crappy ideas. Like
well,
Garfield.
yeah, but I mean it's the same like kind of subject content though, so
I don't know.
They end up doing that.
They probably won't ever make it. You know how long it took them to do Dragon Ball Z when I was in high school, or make a Dragon Ball Z movie?
Too.
The thing was it wasn't even Dragon Ball Z. It was Dragon Ball, but they combined Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and just did this retarded. It was horrible.
That annoying kid from War of the Worlds.
War of the World. Oh, that's who that was?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, no, I have to say really quick, it doesn't bode well for the movie that we're not talking about the movie, but that's not the case. The movie was really good. I should ask, like, what was your...
It was a quality film. I mean, it's definitely the kind of thing that I wouldn't mind owning. I wouldn't have gone to see it in the theaters, unless
I think it would
IMAX
have been amazing in the theaters. Like, I watched it at home, it would have been better in the theaters, especially with, like, the sound system, all the sounds and stuff they had.
Like, the first time I ever went to an IMAX film, it was at the Tech Museum in San Jose, and they have the dome, I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like you're sitting inside of a golf ball, and you're watching it, and it's all, like, 3D and everything, and it was
I think I saw that
the most intense film I've probably seen in forever, and it was like a documentary bug film, but it was just...
I think I have a similar experience. That sounds familiar. No, I think the first, like, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure I saw a couple things like that, but, like, an actual movie, not like something like that, just footage, was 300. And it was I have to say, the sex scene was so awkward, because it was so big that it didn't feel like you're watching a sex scene in a movie. It felt like you were standing in the corner of the room, watching, and it's freaking King Leonidas. So, like, I'm like, oh my goodness, if I make a sound, he's going to pick up his spear and kill me. He's not even going to stop. He's just going to grab his spear and just chuck it. I'm going to be dead. Like, I have to be. I sat there perfectly still, and then I'm like, are you stupid? This is a movie. He can't. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just to be safe, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to be quiet. I was afraid for my life.
In 3D. Like,
yeah, except for the sex scene.
Well, yeah.
That was scary.
The battle, like, Unreal 300.
Dominated.
Yeah, it was really good. It almost felt like actually like being on the sidelines because you're, like it's big enough to look around. So like there's like all this action over here, but there's like some little guy like getting stabbed in the throat over here. Like,
Monster kill.
like, oh dude, that guy just got. Oh yeah, so it was almost like you could sit like on the sidelines of like an actual battle and look around. It was really good. So definitely enjoyed that. But anyways, back to Tron. I think visually, it was amazing. The movie was beautiful. Like I don't
Yeah,
think...
it's very clean graphics. Like, you see a lot of DVD, like 3D or whatever, CGI films where it gets all grainy and stuff, and the blacks get all...
Yeah,
this one was really crisp.
I would say I don't think I've seen a movie that was... And I don't know. I'm saying this without thinking of it ahead of time, so I may kick myself later and be like, what was I thinking? But I think the visuals of the movie, I don't think I was as into the visuals of a movie since Speed Racer. And I know that the movie didn't do very well, and a lot of people didn't like it. My friend Adam, I was confused because he said it was the most exciting or exhilarating movie or something. But I didn't think it was amazing. I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was amazing. But the graphics, it was one of those movies that could have been on mute, and you could have just watched it just for the eye candy, and you would have enjoyed it. Everything was shiny and it was poppy, and the graphics were just so over the real, whatever. But I felt that way with Tron, not over the top. It was completely different. It was much more dark and moody, but it just created such an atmosphere.
It was immersive.
Yeah, and it was one of those movies where you can watch just the visuals and still enjoy it. And then of course, I thought the story was pretty good. It was a basic story. It was coming of age-ish, trying to rescue his dad. It was pretty predictable. You knew the dad wasn't going to make it out alive, kind of thing. You knew the girl was going to become the love interest after the first 45 seconds of her being them talking in the house, kind of thing. So that wasn't really. It's not a groundbreaking plot, but it didn't need to be. I did think it was very well done.
Basic, and I think it worked better for the film just simply because one, you were fully aware of what was happening. You understood the entire concept of the film, and so you weren't distracted with what's going on or anything like that. You knew what was going to happen, which made it easier to focus on the actual dialogue and the characters and things like that, and you weren't distracted with movies like Saw or Revolver and stuff like that, where you're half the movie you're thinking about what the heck is going on. You don't pay attention to.
Or there's this other thing, which it happened a lot more when I was a kid, and it's harder for movies to do this to me now. And I didn't used to like it as a kid because and now I kind of appreciate it, even though it's kind of uncomfortable. I appreciate it because it tells me it's really good. Creating a sense of anxiety. When you're watching a movie and you're are they gonna make it through? And I'm not talking about a cheesy horror film where are they gonna die? You don't care if they die. You know what I mean? Generally, when you're, anyways, I was gonna go on a weird area, but you don't care if they die. It's oh no, okay, well, whatever, And but movies that really get you to feel almost on the edge of your seat, actual anxiety. And it's a corny example, but the first time I was aware of this was when I was a kid. You remember the movie Brink? It was a skate movie. I loved that movie, but I wouldn't watch it very often because it was so emotionally. The first few times, once I saw it, it wasn't as big a deal. But because there was the whole thing where he had to fall out with his friends and all this kind of stuff. And I remember I'd be oh no, how are we gonna fix this? And it's everything's falling apart. And it was hard to watch almost because it's that.
You're so intimately.
You're into it, yeah. And then I went for a period where
characters
that didn't happen. Cool, I can just watch a movie and just enjoy a movie and not feel stressed out, But then as I got older, I go, okay, but that being stressed out means that it's a really good movie. And so Tron wasn't that. I wasn't stressed out. There was a couple parts where they got his disc, and I was yeah, who cares, It was what's the big deal? It's and they're if he gets out, if Clue gets out, he'll take over our world. The Avengers will stop him. It's kind of thing. I was more interested in the world of Tron. I was more interested. To me, it's funny because normally you watch a movie and you're okay, the talking, get back to the fighting. I was the fighting's cool, but go back to the talking. Yeah, I want to know what's happening.
I thought the fighting was forced. They could have made the whole movie without a single punch thrown, and I thought it would still been good. Yeah, great because the dialogue was so well assembled. With the characters.
And it was one of those things where it's this huge world, and you're in this quick snapshot. And I felt the entire movie, literally, the entire movie could have been, like you said, much more of a sitting around and talking about the history of the grid.
1 minute.
Oh, okay. I was okay, anyways. The history of the grid, and I would have absolutely just, loved it. And even though it would have technically been, a boring movie, it's it starts off, all this stuff, he finds his dad, there's some action stuff in the beginning, and then he goes and finds his dad, and, if the rest of the movie was just, the chronicles of, like what's happened. And then I would have been enthralled. Like, I still would have been like, but that's the geeky side of me. I just think that that's so cool, this world instead of computers. I always imagine that kind of stuff. Like, our gardens always had these worlds inside them, I'd imagine. Like, computer, everything. Like, like a hollowed out tree trunk, I'd imagine, like, this entire world and how it worked. I'm actually really surprised I'm not a Sims guy.
Like the whole Men in Black thing? Or
just like anything. Like, it'd be like a rotting piece of wood, and it was like this, like, giant space freighter, and I would picture all this stuff. And I for some reason, I never got into all the Sims games. I don't know why. Like, you would think I'd be into like a Sims thing, but no, I'm talking about like the older ones, like the Sims, like the world stuff, like all that kind of like the old, like the floppy disk, like Sim City and Sim Earth and Sim or whatever all the titles were. I probably, God probably kept me from getting into them because I would have, wasted my life. I would have been, one of those, all I ever did was, play, the Sims games. So, I don't